Hey there, it's your girl Cha Jones. If you have never come to my channel and this is your first time meeting me, hi, I'm Cha Jones and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that you finally made it over here. If you are returning, hey, I'm so glad that you came back. Listen, you know, I live abroad. I live here in Malaysia, for those of you who don't know. And I live in Kuala Lumpur, and I'm an expat, but I'm also a coach and consultant, and I work with people who want to create more ease in their life. So today I started thinking about, is it worth it? Is this life worth it? Is it worth packing your bags, relocating, being away from your friends and family, and doing this thing oftentimes alone by yourself? Hmm. That's the question we're going to tackle today. I'm going to talk about it. So let's get started. Hey, okay. So, I mean, when you really have to sit down and think about, is it worth it? I know right now in America, because I'm American, um, the other day there was a debate, a presidential debate. It's voting time, and a lot of people are starting to think about, should I jump ship and move somewhere else and create a life abroad? So the question becomes, is it worth it? And you have to always weigh, you know, should I do it or should I not do it? And what are going to be the strengths, the weaknesses, the challenges, the rewards? You want to kind of look at all of that to make it make sense. Because at the end of the day, we want it to make it make sense, right? So I just want to talk about it today. I have 7 things that I think are beneficial for actually answering that question, is it worth it? So, one of the things that I think is important to know when you're moving abroad or thinking about moving abroad, and for me, I have to say, okay, it's worth it because I, number one, can grow and develop as a person. That's my first reason. So when I say personal growth, is a reason. It's also self-discovery. I think it's a lot easier, at least for me, when I'm living out of the confines of the United States, to grow. Because think about it. I am a soft life, a global soft life consultant and coach. And baby, I tell people all the time, and I try to help them and show them how to do this. But it is easier when you don't have all the stress of high bills, inflation, even though there's inflation there everywhere at this point. But when you don't have to worry about all the stresses, you can have more work life balance. You can live off less. And so, in that, it allows you to have more time to yourself, time to actually do the things that you love to do. Go actually create some hobbies. Go walk in the park and relax. All the stresses that you have, you don't necessarily have them when you're living abroad. Are there challenges, and does this come with its own set of issues? Absolutely. However, I have more time to myself to think and to breathe and to actually enjoy my life while living abroad that I would not have because of the hustle of everything, because of the demands of everything, because it's just more difficult. Um, and I'm not saying everybody's life is difficult. I'm just saying that when I go back to the United States, I feel like there is less independence. of my own freedom and flexibility in my time. And if I were to put my child in school in the United States and have all the things and then have a 9 to 5 job, and do you see where I'm going with this? There's just so much more. Whereas my son is homeschooled, I am here with him most of, if not all day. We have the freedom to go outside, play, and do the things that we need to do. We can break and go to the mall or to a park or to a indoor play place. Well, it's true. I mean, we do live abroad, and there are several countries that are like hop, skip, and a jump away. So that's something to consider. So that would be the first thing I would say. Second thing I would say is that it gives you exposure to new cultures. So listen, we live in a different culture. Yes, they speak English. However, there are many cultural differences. So this allows you the opportunity to grow and familiarize yourself with other people's culture. It gives you a different perspective on people, their views, and how they see things in life. But it also helps you to have some balance about the views that you have grown up with, and they may not serve you anymore. So those might be some outdated views that you are considering changing and shifting. The other thing is helping you understand diversity. And I think, and I'm just gonna say this, as a black person from America, American black, diversity is not something that we have an issue with because it's a thrown in our face. We are prime we're probably one of the most diverse group of people because we have to vacillate between cultures constantly, right? So that's not a real big adjustment when moving abroad. The adjustment comes when you bring your American views to somebody else's country, and those things need to shift for you to be successful. So I think, is it worth it? Yes. It's worth going to see and going to be in someone else's culture and understand. There are nuances that you don't know that exist until you're actually in the midst of living and trying to navigate different situations. So, for me, I think it's extremely important to just really put yourself out there and understand culturally why things happen. Now, oftentimes Americans have American views, right? And and I'm going to say we often we often think outside the box. And I know living in Asia, and I've lived in Asia before, and now living in Asia again, it comes up because Asians are not the most creative individuals. And that's not my point of view. That's just fact, right? Because Asians tend to go with what I consider groupthink, right? They shift as a group. Like normally it's the collective thought process. They're very family oriented, they're very group centered. And so Americans, we are very individualized, very, listen, we want to do it our way. We're going to think outside the box. We're going to be very creative about how things can happen. And we're not expecting you to think for us. We're expecting to just be like, listen, there's a problem. I'm going to find a solution, right, wrong, or indifferent, period. And that can be challenging sometimes because you can think of situations where you're like, that's not rocket science. Why are we doing it that way? Let me just go in and fix it. That's what you want to do as an American. But you're in somebody else's country. That's how they do it. You like it, I love it. So I try to go with the flow. But I can think of times that can be very challenging. For instance, today, my when my microwave went out the other day and someone came to fix it, I had already, just being me. and I think very American. I did all the things. Like I went to Google. I was like, okay, what would be the reason for this? I put some water in the microwave. I turned it on. It didn't get hot. I was like, oh, it's a sensor. It's something that I can't fix. I'm gonna call the landlord. They send somebody out. The guy comes out. He turns on the thing, the microwave, and he says, do you have a bowl of water? And I kind of chuckled because I was like, I did that. That's the first thing I did. I gave him a bowl of water. He put it in the microwave, turned it on, let it do its thing for like a minute, and the water was the same temperature, right? And so then he says, oh, I have to order a part because it's a sensor. Okay. So the real American part of me was like, so when I contacted the person, I stated, listen, the food is not getting warm anymore. I've turned it off. I've turned it on. I reset everything to factory settings. There is no heating of the food going on. It's not happening. So the American part of me was like, listen, we need some model numbers. We need, to identify what the problem is. And then here's the solution. And the solution would be a sensor. And then to show up at my house without a sensor. The American in me was just like, this, why are we doing this? Why? Now I got to take more time because now you have to go back, you have to order the part, and then you have to come back. But because I'm living abroad and I try to have an open mindset about it, and it's not my way, it's the way of the people in which I'm living with. And so, patience, especially when you think of high context and low context culture. And I know I don't want to talk over anybody, but this is my stuff. As an interculturalist, this is my stuff. And so when I see stuff like this happen, I have to reel myself back and go, you know what? It's it's just the culture. It's you're now having to adapt to cultural nuances, and that's okay. So we'll keep it moving. But that is one of the challenges, but it's also one of the rewards. And is it worth it? Yes, because I'm learning to slow down. I'm learning to just go with the flow. I'm learning to allow. That's it. So that's that I think it's worth it. Now, the next thing, the third thing that I think is worth it, and I think this more so for traditional expats versus digital nomads or self-initiated expats, career opportunities. It is worth it if you are working in a corporation or organization that has international visibility and opportunities. Yes, it's worth it. Number one, this could taking an international assignment can change the trajectory of your career because you get so many opportunities. Some of the opportunities I've already mentioned is it in regards to self growth and development as well as cultural understanding, but it gives you a different context because you'll work in a different environment outside of your own nationality. So you'll build relationships, you'll get to know global understanding. So you may have to deal with global economics, you may have to deal with um, global policies, all the things that are make an international business run will be part of your wheelhouse and you're building skills and talents that you may not build in the US. Even though the US has a lot of global infrastructure, the problem is that you're not global until you're global. So until you put yourself out there and you actually go somewhere and live in the culture and live and understand all the things that happen day in and day out to actually globalize the situation, then you are dealing with theory. But when you put it in practice, everything changes. So I think that is a great opportunity for anybody who has the opportunity to go study or work abroad. It increases all of who you are as a person, but it also increases your talents and skills and knowledge base for working globally. So, yes, it is worth it. Number four, financial advantages. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Listen, oftentimes, if you have the opportunity to go somewhere where there is a lower cost of living, and you, let's say you are working in a global company and they're paying you in your home or national country's currency, and you're living where the currency is much cheaper, if the cost of living is much cheaper, and you actually get more bang for your dollar if you're American, or pound if you're if you're if you're English. um So, or the euro if you're European. Okay. So, the thing is that there is a financial advantage to having lower cost of living. So, if you're like in a major metropolitan area in a place in the United States, like a New York, a Los Angeles, a DC, um, where the cost of living is up there, it's high, right? And you can get something much lower, there is a huge advantage financially for living abroad. So, is it worth it? Absolutely. Case in point, now water has never been my issue anywhere I've lived. It's just always been reasonable, I guess. But baby, here living in Kuala Lumpur, my bill is 6.5 ringgit, which roughly, depending on, what the currency rate is at the time, is about $1.50 every month. Set price, $1.50, $1.50. That's all did I say $1.50? $1.50. $1.50. That's all I can say. So there are finance. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Like, I don't even question it. I mean, and my electric bill is about about 300 ringgit, 60 to $70, depending on the fluctuation, and that's with centralized air conditioning. So, I mean, is it worth it? You do the math. Make it make sense for me staying somewhere where I'm paying out the yin yang to live. Like, I just don't understand. So that's number four. Number five, this is what I love. I love talking about work life balance. Improved work life balance. Listen, in most countries outside of the United States, especially Europe and Asia, where family and spending time with your family is essential and important, baby, listen, I love the fact that I can go somewhere and see a whole entire family in Malaysia, because it is a Muslim country. What I have seen that on any given day you see a grandmother, a grandfather, the mother, the father, the children, some aunties sitting at it's 10 deep, right? And they're enjoying themselves and they're interacting, they're eating together. And what I find is that most people eat out because it's cheaper to eat out around this camp than it is to actually go to the store and purchase food. So, is it worth it? Absolutely, because you get to reclaim your time. You get to have more time for yourself, for your family. If you are, if you're single, it's more time for freedom and flexibility to do the things that you love. Go to the spa, go to the movies. Going to the movies is, first of all, it's way cheaper here in Kuala Lumpur than it is in the US. You can get your ticket, and food, drink, all that, snacks, and still pay less than $10. It's amazing. I love it. Um, but the other thing about that is just that you are in control of how you spend your time. And so the improvement of having quality time with yourself or with your family and being able to do some of the things that you would not normally be able to do because you would be stressed and tired, your life opens up. So, I think that's amazing to be able to have quality of life. And I can't stress that enough. And that's, I love being able to help people, specifically women who are burnt out, tired, and doing too much. Now reclaim their time and figure out how to live without all the stress. Stress will kill you. So we don't want to live that way. We want to reclaim our time. We want to be more consistent with the things that we do that celebrate living versus striving and struggling. We don't want to do that anymore. We we don't say no to that. So that's one thing. And I want to take a break now because with this, I have written an ebook that goes along with this video that talks about all of the things that make living and working abroad so much better. So not only am I talking about these 7 things, I go a little bit more in depth. So check out the ebook down below in the description and get it. It's $2.95. And so that $2.95 will help if you're really trying to figure out is going abroad worth it. I'm I'm going over these 7 things in depth, but I'm also adding to it so that you know all the reasons why. If you're contemplating and you need some reasons, baby, I'm giving them to you. Reasons why and illustrating how moving abroad can help you. So that's that. Now let's get back to it. I have 2 more things that I want to talk about. So number 6, this is this makes it all worth it. Traveling. Like, what? This is a travel vlog. And I talk about travel and I talk about living in Malaysia and I talk about all the places I've been and the things I've done. But living in Malaysia is a centralized location. There are a plethora of countries that you can get to. And guess what? You can get to them very reasonable. Very reasonably. I can't talk today. So there are plenty of countries that you can get to for a reasonable amount of money. For instance, you can get to Thailand. I can get to Phuket for $65 round trip. I can get to Singapore for about anywhere from $9 to $15 depending on the day. I can get to Bangkok in Thailand for about $45. I can get to Chiang Mai for about $55 to $60. I can get to Indonesia for like 29, $30. It just depends on when I'm going, how I book it. But how many? That was 3 different countries I talked about. But I'm not even talking about Vietnam, Cambodia, Philippines, Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, China. These are all within 4 to 5 hours away that you just hop on a plane. That's like going from DC to Nashville or DC to Dallas. Literally, like at the end of the day, I'm not even talking about going from DC, the East Coast, to Los Angeles, the West Coast. Like, I'm saying you can get somewhere and even on Southwest or Spirit, you're not getting there for $9, $15, 35, 65. You're not doing it. Round trip. I'm not saying one way. I'm saying round trip. So is it worth it? You do the math. Get back to me. Well, I'll be taking flights. All right. Okay. So, is it worth it? Absolutely. Now, the last reason, since I'm only going to give seven today, building global networks. So, for those of you who don't know, I founded an organization called Expat Women of Color when I originally lived in Korea. And it's a Facebook group you can go join. Doesn't cost you anything. Just join. And it is a networking organization. It's also a nonprofit that I went and actually established when I went back to the United States. And one thing that I know for sure that when you're living abroad, tribe, community, connections are important. And so for me, I think if you're going to live abroad, you need to connect with other people, like minded people. They don't all have to be expats, they don't all have to be the same nationality. It is important to mix and mingle with the natives and the locals, and that is important as well. But it's really important to build your global network and connect with individuals that you are going to have friendships and relationships as you travel and even when you go back home, people that you can come visit later in life. It is extremely important to have connection. And that's one of the things that I love building is community. Wherever I have gone, I have immediately established community and connectivity to people who I am attracted to, like minded with, and can share the same synergy and values. So that I think that's important. And I think that it helps your time. It also helps when you have those moments because you do get homesick. Let's just keep it real. You'll get homesick, you'll miss your friends and family at home, and you'll miss some of the things that you used to do, especially, you know, even when you accept the culture, you love the culture, and in Malaysia, the food is wonderful, but at some point, somebody just needs some real good macaroni and cheese, some sweet potatoes, some greens, and some fried chicken. Okay? I'm black. And I I spent a lot of time in the South, and I love good soul food. And nothing beats that than to be able to cook. I can actually cook. So that's not a problem. But my point is being able to be around people who understand when you say, "Ooh, honey, those greens are good." Child, listen, you don't have to explain that. What does that mean? Or because sometimes things get lost in translation. And what can I say? It's good to be able to have conversations where you don't have to think too much or try to overcompensate or over explain something. You can just be authentic and be yourself and not put on any type of airs. But when you're building networks and you're building them cross culture, it's a great experience to be able to have diverse friends from all walks of life doing all different things to come together and to have respectful relationships. So that's just my take. Those were my seven things that I wanted to share with you all today. But I want to emphasize that living abroad is not just about the adventure of it all, it's really a lifestyle and it's a life choice. Did you choose to show up every day and have this great experience? It's not just about taking flights and traveling all over the world. It's really about having deep impact personally, professionally, and really about increasing your quality of lifestyle. And these are the seven reasons why I think it's worth it. So I hope that you share with me your thoughts. What do you think? Like, are these good reasons to make the change or shift? to live abroad? Are these good reasons for you? Is there certainly good reasons for me? But thank you again. I hope that this information made you think or think about things differently, or even just reconfirm some of the things you've been thinking. So if it has helped you, please help me. Make sure you like, share, and please subscribe so that you can get the notifications of when I drop another video. Again, I thank you for always showing up. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, and I hope that we can connect at some point. Drop some comments down in the comment section. Please go to my link tree and get that book that coincides with this video. And then, more importantly, show up next time. I hope to see you soon. It's been wonderful. Bye for now.